Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, 26th of April, 2021. Happy Anzac holiday for anyone who's lucky enough to have it. This is episode 3 of Hindsight, where we don't judge each other's level of comfort. Now, we're going to take a look at what happened for the day on the markets, mostly the biggest movers and shakers for the day. We got Kogan and NXS, which had a monster move today. First things first, Kogan, a follow-on from Friday. If we open up the 1 minute chart, the 1 minute chart will do. And we can see the price action for today was actually quite uninteresting in the morning. For the first couple of minutes until it decided to shoot down, I managed to close out at about 1073, 1074. I was scaling out of the position because it didn't seem like it was doing much. There wasn't much in terms of the book. It was gapping up quite a bit, and then it came down, kept smashing its way down to about 1070, 1072, where it opened up, and nothing really happened. I was starting to scale out of my short, and then it decided to smash down, so I scaled back into my short and just only rode a few ticks, really about 10-15 ticks from the open. Watched it come back up and really didn't get back into the position until this sort of consolidation happened. It was ranging a bit. It decided to not really do anything for quite some time. And then this candle here decided that it was going to be a sell-off. Really, what I was waiting for was a pop to the upside or a sell to the downside before making the decision and scaling into the position. Really, because here at this point in time, it's a 50-50. It's a coin flip. There's no real decision. There's no bullish, bearish setup. I mean, for me, it's bearish because of the daily candle, so I had a bit of a bias to the downside. But really, it was about waiting for that confirmation, and that was it for me there. Pretty much shorted it all day long. Just let it go. It was going to be a follow through from yesterday, and that's the trigger I needed, was a breakthrough this trend and just this high volume sell. So that was enough to trigger reshorting the position that I had initially. And from 1059, 1060, just held the position the whole way until close today. And I'm looking at holding it until tomorrow as well, seeing what happens. And that's pretty much all she wrote for Kogan. It was a brain dead play. There's a bit of a setup that I'm talking about lately, and that's don't hold a long position for any more than 10-15 minutes tops, and just fade everything for the rest of the day. So anything else, just fade it. Short it, ride it to the end of the day. That's pretty much the sentiment of the market lately, so there's no real follow through in the longs. Here we can see on NXS, prime example, there was a nice FDA announcement that shot it up to about 460 mil market cap from memory. If we open up the 1 minute chart, this was a match long and got out within about 2 seconds. So there was a massive stack at $1.99, a massive stack at $2. $2 got cleaned, and then it was just a restack. I mean, there was opportunity to make a pip or two, but really not too phased. It just didn't go the way I wanted it to from open. So very quick in and out. That was a scale-in position that I was intending on doing. Didn't go full size on the open on the match because look at this gap up from $1.40 to $1.99. $2 was always the target. It's a bit of a magnet, bit of a psychological level. Didn't get there from, like, I was hoping to see it open at $1.70 at one point, and it just shot up into open. The final couple minutes just really shot it up that extra 20 cents. So it was pretty shitty in that respect because, you know, it obviously leaves little opportunity to make any kind of gains and profits. The stock wasn't shortable for NXS. So really it was just about waiting. And there really was only one entry point that made sense, and it was the only real trade that I made. And that's, if we go into the daily chart, I'll show you guys, it's pretty straightforward. It's just this horizontal level here, which it held this white line. If I bring it up to the 1 minute chart again, and that was the 169.5 and 170, the only long position that I took aside from the open, and scaled out at 173 as this was failing, and then of course I just waited with the rest of the position. There was a nice little break here. This is what I was talking about on Twitter today, was this break as it was happening on good volumes there. The problem is that it just didn't follow through. There was high volumes, and then pop right back under, no good. So that was the first sign of things failing, so scaling out of that position. The other sign that this was done, and this was like the trend line that I had as well. The other sign was this breakdown as well. So breaking underneath the trend, it was on okay volumes. I mean, considering the previous candles and the candles that followed, it's hard to call this high volume, but it's volume enough that it broke trend and came back up to retest, and then all the way back down. It just kept trending down. I stopped watching it. I wasn't interested, and I guess it's nice to see that it failed. So good decision making on my behalf. Didn't get much out of it. It really sucks on a day like today. Low liquidity, low volatility. No shorting available on this thing. Otherwise, this would have been just a perfect short. The short opportunity for me would have been, first and foremost, is that break of VWAP. So breaking through VWAP, fantastic. That makes sense. It broke on high volume. Coming to this trend line made sense as well. And then it's not a significant trend line, but it makes sense that it got rejected off this level. It should have held VWAP if this was going to go long. The idea behind this play was that it sort of consolidates and just eventually trends back up, sticks to this kind of trend line, never goes below VWAP. The amount of times we've seen a good news announcement do exactly this, where, let me just turn off the VWAP bands. The amount of times we see a monster gap up into a pullback and then a slow grind up and then retest the highs, which is the opening price. And then that sort of just kind of lingers, consolidates, and then bursts to the upside. The amount of times we've seen that earlier this year was just all the fucking time. All the fucking time. Today, didn't eventuate. Doesn't matter. It is what it is. Stuck to the plan. Everything made sense technically. So, for example, breaking through VWAP, coming back down through VWAP, kind of a bull trap, I guess. High volume rejection, and that's all she wrote, really. So there's no point fighting it. It's not like going, it broke through VWAP, it should have went up. It kind of doesn't matter. What matters is that it came back under VWAP and stayed under VWAP, broke trend, and technically there was absolutely no long positions whatsoever after that. Nothing else made sense. I mean, maybe if you're like desperate and bored, you can do like a really low probability setup and getting this $1.69 again, that $1.70 level. But it's just bad, right? When a stock dumps and just grinds the lows, it's so bad. The likelihood of it recovering is basically zero, close to zero. So that's pretty much it for the day. That's the hindsight for the day. Pretty much done everything as good as I could have, I think. So, what can you do? It's public holiday for half the country. Volatility is low, liquidity is low. And if you found this insight at all helpful, smash that like button like a good unicorn would. Otherwise, that's it for today. Have a good one, guys.